I want to talk to you about the great American actor and legend, Kirk Douglas. You may have heard late last night, news broke from his son Michael Douglas in an Instagram post and People magazine that he had passed away at the age of 103. From poverty to king of Hollywood, Kirk Douglas was born in 1916 in New York. His name was Issur Danielovitch. A ragman's son, the title of his 1988 memoir. He died, Kirk Douglas, a Hollywood king. Now, not everybody knows who he is, so I wanted to share this with you to honor his memory and also to talk to you about things that you should think about in your career. Whether you want to be an actor or not, a writer, it doesn't matter, but he exemplified so many things in his life to me that we can learn from. He's an epic American story of reinvention and perseverance. As I mentioned, he died Wednesday, February 5, at the age of 103. He was a force for change and a symbol of endurance. He's Michael Douglas's father, also another famous actor. In his prime, Kirk represented a new kind of performer. He was more independent, adventurous than previous Clark Gable, Spencer Tracy, and others in the 1930s and 40s. He spoke his mind. He became a star after World War II. Acting was an escape and also a confession. He called the line, "I'm a loner, clear down deep to my very guts," that it was his most personal that he ever spoke in his 1962 Western, Lonely Are the Brave. Although he never won an Oscar like his son Michael, he received other awards of recognition from the film industry, and in 1981, a Presidential Medal of Freedom from Jimmy Carter, and that's the highest civilian award. It was for his humanitarian work, and for 20 years, he was a Goodwill Ambassador for the U.S. State Department. He had a role in the downfall of Hollywood's blacklist. That's a list that ruined careers of writers. At the height of the Cold War paranoia, people who were suspected of pro-communist activity in the 1950s, they were not allowed to be hired. And there was like this list of like these 10 people, but in his speech, Kirk Douglas openly credited the use of a banned writer, who of course used a pseudonym, for the script work of his 1960 film Spartacus, which is about a Roman slave rebellion. And in all the stories this morning, they all boast about his being the strong man, the hero in that same film, Spartacus. That's what he's remembered for. He might have not have finished that movie if it weren't for his second wife, Anne Bidens, whom he married in 1954. They met in Paris while he was filming Act of Love. It was because in 1958, 2 years earlier, before Spartacus came out, she saved his life, literally. And because he listened to her, He's remained married to her for 65 years. She had insisted he not accept an offer to go on a private jet. That jet ended up crashing in 1958, killing all on board, including the owner of that private jet, the film producer Michael Todd, and the husband of Elizabeth Taylor. Unfortunately, his children didn't listen to him, though all four were urged not to go into show business. Besides Michael, there's Joel and Peter, who died of a drug overdose in 2004. Kirk Douglas was a TV star as well. He had a stroke in 1996, but a couple years before that, in 1991, he began his writing career after a helicopter crash killed 2 other passengers. He wrote 12 books. He was also a philanthropist with the Douglas Foundation. He donated millions to the Children's Hospital in Los Angeles and to the Motion Picture and Television Fund. But he never wanted to be an actor in the movies. His goal in life was to be a star on stage. And he achieved that in 2009 at the age of 93. And after making almost 90 pictures, he told the Associated Press at that time in 2009, after all of this, he finally knew how to achieve his dream. He said, "Build your own theater." The Kirk Douglas Theater is in Culver City, California, by the way. One more note about Douglas's memoir that I wanted to share. In it, he recounts that another well-known actor, John Wayne, yelled at him for playing Vincent van Gogh in the film Lust for Life. Wayne thought that Douglas should only play strong characters, not those weak queers, he called it. Douglas's response to Wayne, he tells us in his memoir, "Hey, John, I'm an actor. I like to play interesting roles. It's all make-believe, John. It isn't real. You're not really John Wayne, But his $40 million in donations to the Motion Picture and Television Fund and another $15 million to an Alzheimer's care center for retired motion picture workers is real. 3 years ago, when he was 100, he told Variety magazine, quote, "I have given most of my money away because that pleases me. I was born a poor Jewish boy to immigrants. My mother and father came from Russia. I don't think they could have gotten into the country today, so I have a lot to be thankful for." In his 2002 book, My Stroke of Luck, Douglas chronicles how he beat depression after suffering a stroke. And in that book, he urges readers to pray. He says it will help you. He also shares that he prayed over candlesticks in an antique candlestick that his mother had brought from what is now Belarus, Russia. It reminded him of his mom and brought him closer to God and to his family. And he said it increased the light, even for only a moment. In his final and 12th book, Kirk and Anne, Letters of Love, Laughter, and a Lifetime in Hollywood, that was co-written with his wife, Anne. And it was published in 2017. Kirk Douglas began blogging in his 90s, proving it's never too late to start something new, and you're never too old. Kirk Douglas is survived by his wife and 3 sons.